Welcome to NextLabs Expert Q&A Series. This series was designed to inform you of relevant cybersecurity topics via expert knowledge.
Welcome to episode 10 of the NextLabs Cybersecurity Expert Series. In this episode, we will have Alexandru Ghinea covering securing microservices to prevent cybersecurity attacks. Alexandru is a DevOps engineer at the Societe Generale. Now, Alexandru will introduce himself before we move into the questions.
Hi, my name is Alexandru Ghinea, and I've been working as a DevOps engineer for the past 4 years, using DevSecOps paradigm into developing secure pipelines and applications. Today, we're going to talk about securing microservices to prevent cybersecurity attacks.
Thank you for introducing yourself, Alexandru. Now let's move into question 1. What are microservices, and what does a microservices architecture look like?
Well, microservices are a type of software architecture that involves breaking down a larger application into smaller, independent services that can be developed, deployed, and maintained separately. Microservices architecture is basically designing those smaller applications as a collection, and each of them working for a specific business capability. The microservices architecture is typically used for large-scale applications where a monolithic architecture may become difficult to manage and scale. By breaking down the application into smaller independent services, developers can focus on specific functionalities and deploy updates more easily.
Great. Now that we know a bit about what microservices are and what the architecture looks like, let's move into question 2. Does this type of architecture pose any threats?
Well, in general, the threats are widely available to any kind of applications, but the microservices architecture might come up with specific challenges, since there are multiple services that are running in parallel, like communication security, because microservices needs to be secure to protect against man-in-the-middle attacks, and data tampering, DDoS attacks. Since microservices do communicate over the network, there are quite a lot of DDoS attacks compared to a more monolithic approach, because there are multiple endpoints. Credential management, because microservices rely a lot on APIs and access keys for authentication and authorization. Ensuring secure storage and handling of those credentials is crucial to prevent unauthorized access. Container security, because, microservices are often deployed in containers, which can be vulnerable to attacks such as container escapes and runtime exploits. Securing the container environment, monitoring for vulnerabilities, and ensuring regular security updates can help mitigate those risks, of course. And lack of visibility, since a lot of microservices are running independently, it can be quite hard to get a good view over the whole system, since there can be about thousands of microservices that are running in parallel.
Thanks for the insight, Alexandru. Now let's move on to question 3. How can organizations ensure security in a microservices architecture?
You can implement quite a lot of ways to ensure that your microservices architecture is secured. For example, start from the bottom and implement security coding practices. Everything starts from the way the code has been written. Ensure that developers are actually following the secure coding practices such as input validation, error handling, and proper use of encryption, using authentication whenever is needed inside the application. You can also use different security tools, such as static code analysis, which is offered from SonarQube and some other companies, continuing with dynamic application security testing like OWASP ZAP, or newer approaches like interactive application security testing that can provide more comprehensive security analysis on the whole software stack. Of course, use security protocols such as HTTPS and message queuing protocols. Implement access controls to ensure that only authorized users have access to sensitive data and services. And of course, use role-based access to enforce those policies. And last but not least, always monitor and audit the systems. There are a variety of security tools that are meant to monitor your applications, such as security information and event management that can correlate events across multiple systems, intrusion detection system that is meant to monitor your whole network traffic in case some specific user have a different behavior.
Thanks for weighing in on that, Alexandru. Question 4. How can organizations apply a data-centric security approach in a microservices architecture?
Well, data-centric security is an approach to security that focuses on protecting the data itself rather than the systems and network that store and process it. And there are multiple ways to apply a data-centric security approach. One of them is, of course, data encryption, encrypting your data at rest and transit to prevent unauthorized access. Data masking, masking or obfuscating sensitive data. Access controls, implementing, of course, access to sensitive data only to authorized users. And other parts of the applications also need to have some kind of verification that is allowed to access that data. But in order to do that kind of certification, you need data classification. You need to know the type of sensitive data that the users might not be able to access. And of course, data auditing, implementing a mechanism to track data access and usage and to identify potential security breaches in case someone tries to get on their hands on some type of sensitive data that they are not allowed, or perhaps that was missed in the development process.
Thank you for sharing your valuable insights with us, Alexandru. This concludes episode 10 of the NextLabs Cybersecurity Expert Series. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for episode 11, where we will cover using dynamic authorizations and zero trust in controlled environments.